Hey guys, Chairman here, today with a Gochiusa Bloom set tier list featuring as many decks as I could test from the new Gochiusa set along with all the older Gochiusa support. There are a lot of decks on this tier list because I've been spending just the past month basically non-stop testing all these decks, and so there's a lot of stuff we want to get through today. Because of that, I won't spend too much time on each deck, just for the sake of time, but hopefully we can look at some of these decks more in depth and future deck profiles on this channel. So now, starting off, let's look at the deck that has changed the least since Bloom came out, and that is Dear My Sister. So Dear My Sister did not get a single new support card in Bloom, which unfortunately means they are sorely lacking support, and lands them in C tier. Dear My Sister was not a very good deck coming into this set because it's a 3-year-old deck and the meta has moved way past it, so I think that is pretty reasonable. The next deck that didn't get that much support is Best Shot. Now, I say that much support because it actually did get support. You can play Best Shot with Standby now, which is the preferred climax in addition to the Best Shot climax, because it allows you to standby the 3-2 out at level 2. The 3-2 has -1 soul across, which makes it function a lot better at level 2, and it's also 14k power with 1 Best Shot climax in memory. You can also play the 2-1 event from the first set to additionally -1 soul again on counter step, when you can kind of build your own -2 soul combo, which is kind of cool. But unfortunately, it turns out putting climaxes in memory, not a winning strategy, so Best Shot is still D tier. Now, moving on to Rabbit House builds. The classic Rabbit House build features 1-0 EB Chino with the Pants combo and 3-2 Coco Chino combo, the one on the ban list, right? And of course, it's still on the ban list, still a really great combo. How does it fare with new Bloom support? Well, it turns out the new Bloom support is phenomenal for this deck. Not only do you have access to a clean cut at level 0, which helps tremendously with your early game, but you have access to 2 cards that can help plus stock, the 1-0 Cocoa and also the 0-0 Cocoa. And I think the 0-0 Cocoa personally I think is the better one, because you basically guarantee a stock on your Coco Chino turn because your Coco Chinos are swinging for like 18k. So you're going to get a reverse, and if you're going to get a reverse, then you're going to get a stock. So your Coco Chino turns are way easier to do. You also have a really cheap early play healer that heals the stock, so you can also have some mid game, whereas before you basically had to sacrifice all your mid game because you need to prep for this end game. So because of that, I think Coco Chino is solid S tier deck. It's one of the best finishers in the game. Unfortunately, your level 1's not that great, but it's still not bad, especially with this Cocoa back row, the support 500. You can get 1 Chino to 6-5 on defense, and then 2k counter that up to 8-5, and that's perfectly reasonable. You actually get to run 2k counters now in this deck as well, which is really, really good. I mean, there's just a lot of good stuff that came in Bloom that makes this deck a top contender. Next, let's take the old the old Chino combo, but instead of running Cocoa Chino choice, let's run counter choice. And the problem with running counter choice before Bloom was that you didn't have an end game. There was just no good level 3 combo in Rabbit House that you could finish with. But now we have the new 3-2 Cocoa combo, which is a really, really strong combo. So how does counter choice fare? Well, it turns out it's just as good. You basically get the same things that you can get with Coco Chino. Granted, you don't need the stock generation as much, but you still have access to it. And instead of playing for that like 9 stock end game turn, you can play a lot more for mid game. You can play a lot more for heals. And the cool thing about the counter choice deck is that it's very flexible with what you run in the deck. You can run the Rize package and go double healer, double early play healer, because your endgame doesn't require that much stock, especially if you can keep a Chino on board. Then yeah, you're only looking at 4 stock going in for a double Cocoa combo. So this is definitely like the more flexible deck if you want to try and experiment different things with Rabbit House. And it's really strong because Cocoa counter is a really strong card, and the only reason why we couldn't run it before, like, again, there's no good finisher, but now that we have a good finisher, this is definitely an S tier deck. The next deck is Bread. So that's Bread level 1 combo with the Mocha on reverse and Coco Chino at level 3, because you would run the Coco combo or the Mocha combo at level 1 to help generate a lot of stock with the stock soul for your Coco Chino endgame. Now, of course, with the new support in Bloom, we don't necessarily need all that stock generation anymore, but is Bread still really good? And it is still really good. It's an S tier deck, and the reason why it's an S tier deck is because of the clean cut. The clean cut is Mocha, and it basically clean cuts everything in this deck. And what's important about the clean cut being Mocha, and specifically in Bread, is that your Hot Bakery event can pump 1500 power to any Cocoa or Mocha named card, which is a lot of power, and you can stack this. up to 3 times per hot bakery in memory. So your clean cuts at level 1 can be swinging for like 5.5, like 7k power, depending on how many hot bakeries you have in memory. And you can, feasibly get 1 or 2 in memory with this deck now, because again, it has a lot more advantage engines and advantage tools. And the second thing is, before your hot bakery or the climax combo with the 0/0 cocoa from back row that bounces back to hand to salvage a hot bakery, before you can never take advantage of that empty board spot that the cocoa bounces back to. And unfortunately, because the cocoa is climax combo on the stock slow and not on a standby, you can't like standby a unit to that square. Well, that's actually a perfect square for your clean cut target to go to. So you can play a full board with the clean cut, use the climax combo, bounce the cocoa, get a hot bakery, and then use the mocha to save one of your attackers to that back row slot that you just freed up with the cocoa. It's actually crazy how much advantage you can get with this deck now, with all the new bloom support. So I actually think it's really, really good. There's definitely a lot of ways you can tech this out. All that extra stock can be used to play more aggressively as compared to Rabbit House, which still has to play kind of conservatively to hit the stock requirements for Coco Chino. So definitely an S tier deck. I would put this below the other 2 S tier decks, just because stock still is a little inconsistent. If you miss your level 1 combo, it kind of sucks. But the clean cut with the bakery package is honestly phenomenal. Alright, moving on, let's look at Sharo Chiya. So this is the only Sharo Chiya that runs the old package. It's the win combo at level 1 with the new Chiya combo, which is the preferred finisher for Sharo Chiya. If you're trying to run anything else, you're probably looking at something more bloom centric, because this is the only one that runs the old Sharo combo. Now, I think this combo is pretty good, but unfortunately it's on a wind, so it is kind of meta dependent. However, I think Sharo Chiya is, has some pretty good cards now with the 0/0 runner, but it's still pretty lacking. I think the payoff isn't quite there, and unfortunately because of the wind, you are lacking in some kind of advantage, like incremental advantage, and if you miss your combo, it could be really bad for the deck. So I think it's a solid B tier deck. It's not really, incredibly potent, I would say, but it is strong. Alright, moving on, let's talk about mono blue decks. So mono blue decks can run one of 3 level 1 combos. You can run the Maya combo from first set, which is ditch a blue card, draw 2. Second combo you can run is the 1/0 Megu from Dear My Sister, which is Yun. So on reverse, you get a stock from the top of your deck, and then your blind stock, and then you can reveal the next card. If it's a level 1 or higher, you can add that to your hand. And then your third combo is the new Maya combo. Now, personally, I think the 2 Maya combos are definitely better than the Megu combo. Yun combos are good if you need the stock, but I don't think the decks really need stock, like the blue decks really need that much stock, and you can really make do. And the reason why you really want to play mono blue, in my opinion, for rabbits, is you want to take advantage of the 2/1 compass card. This card is really, really good. And again, before we really didn't have any good targets at level 2 to slam this compass on, right? Because the compass, not only is it a compass effect, but it's also 4k power. So if you slam the 4k power on like a good level 2 or a good card you play at level 2, then you can really protect it. But before we didn't have really good level 2 cards, but now we do. We have the 2/1 Megu combo and the 3/2 early play Chino. So in my opinion, you want to maximize that. That's kind of like the powerhouse of blue. So that being said, I don't think the Megu combos are that good, especially the one with the Chino top end, because Chino top end doesn't require a lot of stock. So why are you getting all this stock when you're not really using all this stock with your endgame combo either, right? So I don't think the Megu Chino is that good, and I think Megu Aoyama combo is like better, but it's still, I would still put this in C tier. It's just you're adding a level of inconsistency that's not necessary into your deck. And you can argue that, okay, maybe the Union can grab the 2/1 compass, but so can the old Maya combo. And the old Maya combo is just very consistent at its plus. Moving on, I guess the difference between the old Maya combo and the new Maya combo is that, yeah, again, the old Maya combo draws, so you can draw into events and climaxes, whereas the new Maya combo hits for a higher number. But the old Maya combo is also bigger in defense. And I think in mono blue, I prefer the old Maya combo, because of being able to draw compasses and also being able to use the compass on the Maya on like defensively and still hitting for like a really high defensive number. You're gonna hit somewhere above 9k, potentially even 10k power depending on your back row, and that's actually a really good defensive number. It'll beat out other level 1s, even some like level 2s. So I think that ranks pretty high on my list. So I think old Maya, Aoyama, playing the compasses. And again, Aoyama is really cool because you don't need to actually play 3. Triple Aoyama is very difficult to do. You can just play 2, and if you play 2, it's actually a lot easier, especially after in Brainstorm. So I actually think old Monoblue, old Maya combo, new Aoyama, A tier deck. If you play it with the Chino top end, the Chino top end's against very weak. It doesn't really have really strong finishing power, but it allows you to be a lot more aggressive earlier with stuff like Compass, with your early plays, and then it still gives you a lot of staying power at level 3. You can just kind of go off with only 2 stock. So actually, in my practice with the Chino combo, I think Chino combo works well if you when you hit level 3, you don't Chino combo immediately. You use other things to kind of heal down and use up your stock, and then you Chino combo the second turn of level 3 just to kind of push unexpectedly. Yeah, so I think that's probably better. Because again, we don't have like a money counter. If we had like a money counter or something, this combo would be really good, but because we don't, I think it's like on the lower end of B. And I would probably put the Maya also somewhere around there. On the lower end of B, just like it's playable, but it's not that great. Oh yeah, and then I think the Aoyama with the Maya is also A tier deck. And the last deck for Monoblue is the old Maya combo with the 2-1 Megu combo. Now the reason why we have to use the old Maya combo here is because since we're running 2-1 Megu, we don't have a finisher, so we can use the old 3-2 finisher that also combos on the same climax. On the other ones, we have a finisher, so it's more flexible. We don't have to run like double finisher, but this one we need a single finisher at least. So we're running the old 3-2 Maya combo. You can also run climax combo list finishers like the new Maya burn, but that's kind of underwhelming by itself. And again, I don't think you're actually gaining that much from not using the Maya combo. And the cool thing with this deck is that your compasses now have like a 10k level 2 body, and that hits up to 14k. And then when you search with the Megu, you're removing clean cards from your deck so that your compass actually has a better chance of hitting. And then now your Megu is 14k and your opponent does no damage. I think it's an A tier deck. I would hesitate to say it's better than a deck with a finisher because the finishing power of this deck is a little bit weak. But I actually think it's just really oppressive what they can do at level 2. It might have some poor matchups, but so does Aoyama finisher. Honestly, Aoyama finisher does have like its poor matchups that it's not that great into. So I think these are pretty close, but I think all the Monoblue decks that take advantage of a strong level 2 game with some kind of top end and or just like playing a lot of compasses are all very strong A tier decks in this set. Alright, moving on, let's look at the standby builds. So the first build is 8 standby, and we're going to introduce, so you can see on this image, we have this little stamp. And that's because Bloom introduced a new package, the stamp package. And this stamp package basically only works in Monobloom decks, but what it is basically like a number of cards and this event that helps generate advantage and help hand fix with card quality without using a climax. So that's why we can't really represent it with a climax combo. However, in my testing, stamps is absolutely cracked, and most decks that can play stamps are better with stamps. So all the decks that can play stamps on this list have the marker or the little stamp icon denoted, and this icon means it's better with stamps. So if you're not playing stamps when you're playing this deck, I think their deck is actually worse. But sometimes you don't have the room to fit in the stamps, in which case, you can make the argument, I don't have enough room to play stamps, so I can't fit it. But if you can fit the stamps in, it is better with stamps. 8 standby, better with stamps, unfortunately still sucks. The problem with 8 standby in Gochiusa is that you have no good payoff for your standby combos. You have no good defensive counter or defensive event. Your best defensive event is this 2-1 -1 soul. Actually, your best one is Compass, but you can't run Compass in standby because it requires 4 blue characters or more on the 4. So it's like you don't have any good defensive counters. You don't have any defensive combos, right? No neg soul combo, nothing like that, right? So you just have no payoff, and you don't have any finishers with 8 standby. So it's like, what are you doing? So in testing, 8 standby has just been really underwhelming, like really underwhelming. Rize combo at level 3 the level 3 Rize combo is pretty good, honestly, still. And you just kind of wall up at 2, and it's really annoying to deal with. The other Rize combo absolutely sucks, by the way. The 1-1 to 2-2 change I think it's a bait. Like every time I resolve it, it just feels really bad. There's also anti-synergy with the 3-2 Rize and the 2-2 Rize, because the 3-2 Rize stacks the climax, and now the 2-2 Rize doesn't have the climax anymore for the on reverse effect. this deck's just a mess. If you really want to play 8 standby, I suggest playing 8 standby Rabbit House build with the Rabbit House Brainstorm Chino and then the 2-1 Rabbit House instead, so you can early play Rize. So you play early play Rize, you play early play Chino, they both heal, and you just kind of heal as much as you can at level 2 and have just like big bodies. That was the best standby deck I could play that was 8 standby that I tested. Everything else just really underwhelming. Unfortunately, Bloom's not a really good standby set. So let's try to rectify the 8 standby problem by introducing at least a finisher, right? And especially since we can play stamps, why don't we just play a finisher, right? So you can play standby Aoyama, and it's not a bad deck. I would put it at the lower end of B. Like, it's playable. Would I say it's good? Not really. It does have like its strong points, but it just feels really unnecessary because the problem with standby is that like in standbying a finisher like Aoyama is that it's not really a card you want to standby out at level 2, because if you standby out at early level 2, you can't really protect it, and then if it dies, it's just kind of meaningless. You could run like the Rin back row to try to protect it, but it's still just like, yeah, it's like a lot of resources. That's like more resources than just playing the Aoyama from hand, and it's really awkward. The timing is really awkward, and then you don't really need to triple Aoyama. Like, I think standby Aoyama only works if your idea is to triple, but then I feel like it's really hard to triple even with standby, because you just need everything in the right place at the right time. So yeah, I don't think it's that good. I think the other standby is like standby Cocoa, and so if you standby Cocoa, because you feasibly already have the Chino on the board, so you can standby the Cocoa, and then you can kind of like just go off on like small increments of the combo, because 1 Cocoa, 1 Chino, or like 2 Cocoas, 1 Chino is already like, it's a really efficient way of doing the combo because you're getting both of the finishing effects at once. So you can like feasibly do that at level 2, and it wouldn't like hurt you like resource wise too much, but it's like a pretty strong push, right? I mean, I think it's probably the same thing as the Aoyama, maybe slightly better, because you get this extra healer as well. Your finishing or your endgame, level 3 endgame, is more diverse. You have a lot more flexibility with it. And you can, of course, you can play stamps. You can also go about this just Rabbit House, pure Rabbit House way, play Reezies and stuff like that. So this gives you more flexibility, so I think it could be better. Having said all that nasty stuff about standby, there was one standby deck that in testing was fairly decent, and that's standby Chiya. And the reason why standby Chiya works in a world where the other standby doesn't is because Chiya gets hand encore with the 2-1 Rize back row, which means that if you standby the Chiya out at level 2, it's pretty easy to protect. Your opponent either needs to like hard remove it using some kind of bottom deck or like send to stock effect. If they just reverse it, you just hand encore it, it's back for another turn, right? And the second cool thing about this Chiya is that you don't have to run 4 copies of the bar. You can run like 3-5 or like 2-6 with the standby, so it's like more standby focused, but you have better bodies. And then you run a really cool card that you can run in this deck is the 1-0 Rize on-field counter, or on-field counter, because you can use it in conjunction with the Cocoa counter to stack lanes and deny your opponent from like crashing board, so that you can get reverse targets for your Chiya. And actually, the combination of that, and those are also really good 1-0s to standby out and just to like play like a beefy board. The whole combination of that is actually pretty strong. It makes it very difficult for your opponent to deny your Chiyas. It's like the situation where on reverse combos suck when you're winning board, but because this deck can play on field counters and the Cocoa counter, you can actually mitigate that downside. So in testing, this deck was actually performing really well. So I would put it probably near the bottom of A. It's by far, in my opinion, the best standby deck to play. All the other standby builds just felt really, really bad. But yeah, this one was actually pretty good. You can give it a try. Also, the reason why this one is not better with stamps is because you need a healer. So Rize doesn't heal and the Chiya combo doesn't heal. So your go-to healer is actually the Chiya Rize. And if you're playing the Chiya Rize, you need to be playing the 1-0 event. If you're playing the 1-0 event, you just don't have enough room for stamps. So this one's not better with stamps because you need healers. You need to find a way to get healers. Alright, next combo is 1-0 Chino combo from Bloom. Why did they print this combo? This combo is so garbage. There's nothing that can make this combo good. Just nothing. Alright, moving on. So now we're looking at Monobloom decks. And Monobloom, again, we're looking at mostly 3 different level 1 combos, where you have the Sharo combo, the Chiya combo, and then the Megu combo. Now, Sharo combo, not better with stamps because the stamp event is a miss, and the event is one of the reasons why stamp is so cracked, because you can do the effects multiple times per turn and just kind of like mill through your deck or whatever, right? So Sharo combo is pretty good at getting raw advantage. However, unfortunately, the advantage is not very selective, and then sometimes you can miss, and it's a little bit unfortunate. That being said, I think it's still pretty good, especially if you have a way of recurring it. Because if you have the way of recurring it, you can kind of just like stop clocking really early and just play the combo over and over again. Because of that, I actually think the Aoyama is probably the best version of this list. It also runs into slight color issues, which could be mitigated by the 1-1 event, except the 1-1 event is a miss for the Sharo. So there are some kind of deck building issues and limitations with this, and that's kind of the reason why I'm actually pretty low on the Sharo combo after testing. Well, going in, I thought this combo was absolutely cracked, but then after testing, notice that there's a little bit more hidden beneath. So we're gonna kind of rank these all at once. So I think the Aoyama is the best out of the Sharo builds, sitting pretty closely low at A. Again, the thing with Aoyama that makes the Sharo build work, as well as the choice trigger, also helps you get additional stock for the Aoyama, and 2+ing triggers here is really nice. I think the next best one is going to be the Sharo Chiya. This one you can play it Monoblue, or you can play it with the old Sharo Chiya cards, and I think it works pretty decently both ways. Yeah, it's fine. It's not a particularly incredible deck, but it definitely works. And, it's fine. And then I think the Sharo Kokua is just the hardest one to play, because unfortunately you're just juggling all these different colors. At the end there's the 8 choice deck featuring level 1 Sharo combo and level 3 Sharo combo. So level 3 Sharo combo is actually pretty good. You run this with blue, so you can play it with the Maya, so you can have like an extra burn 2. And it basically functions like the new Kokua combo. So it's like you get 3 burn 2s, except they're all stacked on one lane. And you didn't pay as much for it, but you could just not get the burn 2s if your opponent somehow cancels the 5 damage or whatever, right? So it's a good trade-off of resources for damage, and it's pretty efficient. That being said, I did feel like I wanted more control of my deck and of like the cards I was adding in this deck, which is just why I think the 8 choice is potentially better, because color constraint wise it's better than the Kokua, but I don't think it's actually that good of a deck. I do think Sharo combo at level 3 is really good though, and so we'll be looking at some other decks that potentially make a better use of that. So next we're talking about Chiya combo. So Chiya combo is the gold bar at level 1, and you can play this with Exodia, which is this. And I actually tested Exodia, and okay, this is actually kind of crazy. Exodia is not that bad. I would actually put Exodia at the top of C tier. In testing, it's a little awkward because you don't have a brainstorm. You have like tap 2, look at 4, and so it's a little unfortunate, but you can play other cards to make this more seamless. And there's actually a lot of cool possibilities with like maybe even like the DMS Megu card to help you generate more tap targets and also refund you the stock. But the combo is actually pretty good, not on the first turn at level 1, but on like subsequent turns at level 1, which is really cool. So like on the first turn at level 1, you just combo normally, you just play the bar from hand, and just like you don't have to worry about Exodia. But on the next turn, if you don't draw the bar or if you don't trigger the bar, you can try to like assemble Exodia and then just get the bar from the waiting room, which is like and then by then you have the stock to do that, right? So you're not looking to Exodia first turn, you're looking at Exodia subsequent turns. And actually, yeah, I think it plays out pretty well. It is a lot of room on the board, so that might be an issue, but we'll see. It has potential. Currently slotted at C could get higher depending on if people figure out really cool ways to make this work. Now outside of Exodia, Chiya combo is actually pretty good. I kind of went in thinking Chiya combo is going to be garbage because just the fact that it doesn't mill at all and it also requires reverse, but there are a few things that can make it work. Important cards to note for Chiya combo is the 1/1 Chiya that has hand on court, and whenever another one of your characters attacks, it gets 2k. So if it attacks last, it already is swinging for 10k, and on the Chiya combo turn, each of the Chiyas is going to pump in an additional 1k. So it's going to be swinging for 12k power, and it's going to have all the effects stacked on top of it, meaning that's really hard for your opponent to deny the reverse unless they have something like a Kokua counter or some way of sacking. It's really difficult for your opponent to deny that. And as for mill, look at what all these cards or what all these icons have. They have the stamp. It is better with stamps because stamps fixes all the mill problems of this deck. The stamp engine itself adds free instant ditto mill, so each time you rest the Rize, you get a stamp from the top of your deck, so that's mill 1. And then when you stamp the Akatsuki or the Chiya, you can look at next 4. So you just tap a card and you just mill 5 for free, basically, right? And that fixes all the mill problems of the Chiya combo. And so if you play Chiya with stamps, it is actually really, really, really strong. And so because of that, Chiya with stamps, I think, is an S tier deck with the Cocoa finisher, which I think is the best finisher. And this one is really, it's like the colors are really easy too. So just green at level 1 and then green, blue, red, right? If you play Chiya with the gold bar, I think it is not quite as good as the Cocoa combo, because I think the Cocoa combo gives you the most reach and the most flexibility. And also it makes your colors a lot easier, because the important thing with stamps is that you have a red 1-0 Cocoa that gives you the resources. So if you're playing stamps in this build, you're looking at maybe 3 color or 4 color, and it's a little bit awkward. Or maybe you don't run the Maya, the blue at level 3. Or you could run the 1-0 event. That's also mill, but it's like less mill than stamps. I think Chiya combo ideally should be combo to stamps. So I think with the Sharo combo, it's a little bit less strong, but it's still pretty good. Definitely up here. With Aoyama combo, so the cool thing with the Aoyama combo is that you just get the Chiya combo every single turn, because you have pants and then you have the gold bar, right? So the pants will give you the gold bar, and it's the gold bar, like you can loop it as much as you want. Also, the pants combo is pretty good. You're gonna have a lot of hand advantage in this deck, and you can it's kind of like a very aggressive take on stamps and also on the Chiya combo. So I actually think this deck is pretty good. I think Aoyama combo has a lot of weaknesses, but that being said, I think this is probably one of the best ways to take advantage of it. And then the last but not least is just 8 bar. So 8 bar, unfortunately, is not that good. Actually, we'll put it pretty low, probably around here. The problem with 8 bar is that there's no good bar support in Gochiusa Bloom. So if you trigger too many climaxes, you're just gonna be flooded, and there's really no easy way of like paying them out. We have like really good pants support, but not very good bar support. For some reason, they just decided that was how it was gonna be, right? So it's quite unfortunate. So yeah, unfortunately, if we have good bar support, this deck could see a lot more play and it would be a lot better. But without good bar support, I think it's not that good. And then the last combos we're going to talk about are going to be the Maya level 1 combo. Now, I actually really like Maya level 1 combo because it swings for an absurdly high power on your turn, and that's without climax combo, because it gets 1/5 on attack just by itself. So even if you don't have a climax combo, every time you attack with it, it's going to be a 6k beater. It's gonna, it's just gonna push a lot of damage. And with the climax combo, it gets even more power. I'm swinging up to 8k because it gets another 1,000 from the combo. So this is a really good combo, really consistent, and I think the last 2 decks are both really, really good. And it's a preference of which finisher you think is stronger. And in my opinion, even though I think the Sharo combo is really, really good, I do think the Cocoa combo is better. And so I think Maya Cocoa is gonna be, it's going to slightly edge out the Chiya because it's a little more flexible with the deck space and the builds, and also with the colors. And then I think the Maya Sharo combo is just at the top of A tier, borderline S tier. The colors are not a problem in that deck. You can run stamps to get even more like flexibility and stuff like that. But unfortunately, it's just like the end game. It's a really consistent end game if you are kind of matching your opponent damage wise, but if you're behind on damage, the combo starts to, you can see some of the weaknesses of the combo, because you just don't have as much push, because your opponent could just take everything and they don't have, it's not a problem for them. So anyways, that's the tier list for all the Gochiusa decks. And again, this is 100% my personal opinion. I should have said that at the start of the video, but this is 100% just my personal opinion, what I think after all the testing I've done. And of course, you guys could have different thoughts, and it's not like I'm right. This is just what I found from my testing. Also, clearly, it's not every single deck that can be played with Gochiusa. There are a lot of combos that I not addressed. I try to address, actually, I did address all the Bloom combos, but again, there's a lot more ways you can mix and match with Gochiusa, and I clearly have not covered everything. So if you guys have a deck that you've tested with the new Bloom stuff or whatever with the new Gochi stuff, and that you think is really good, please let me know in the comments below. Last time I did this for Kaguya, a number of you guys reached out to me and showed me some really cool deck lists that eventually got featured in videos on this channel. So, feel free to comment, let me know what I might have missed. But as always, hopefully this is just a good way for you guys to get started with this Bloom set. Of course, there's like a lot of cards, especially Gochi is like a big set, and there can be a lot of things that you're like, oh man, I don't know where to start with. So this is just kind of like a starting point to see what has performed well, at least in my testing, and what I feel like has good potential and a lot of strength, and then what has been underperforming. So maybe the things that are underperforming might need some additional help, like might need some additional work in testing and figuring out like new builds and stuff like that. Oh my gosh. Anyways, that's been Chairman with this new tier list. Thanks you guys for watching. Don't forget to like if you want to see more of this kind of stuff. Again, I'm planning on doing a lot more Gochiusa Bloom content upcoming now that I finally finished this tier list video. We're going to do a bunch of deck profiles, and I have some other fun videos in store. So if you want to catch all that, be sure to subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time.